Mayar Evloev confronted Petr Yan in his hometown after a podcast appearance, and what happened next left fans absolutely stunned. It all began when the undefeated featherweight was asked about fighting fellow Russian fighters. Mayar made it crystal clear that Zubaira Tukhugov and Zabit Magomedsharipov were completely off limits. Their shared roots and traditions simply wouldn't allow for such matchups. But when the conversation shifted to Petr Yan, Mayar said a fight could definitely happen if he ever moved down to 135 pounds. He viewed it purely as a sporting challenge given Yan's championship status. Somehow that message got completely twisted. A clipped version of his interview made it seem like he was refusing to fight Zubaira out of respect but had absolutely no issue calling out Yan. The former bantamweight champ didn't take it lightly. He fired off a heated tweet dismissing Evloev's resume, telling him to accomplish something first before talking about fights, along with a few other choice words. Rather than engage in a pointless online back and forth, Mayar took immediate action. The moment he saw Peter's response to that chopped-up interview clip, he didn't just argue over social media. He booked a flight and went straight to Peter's city to settle things face-to-face. In Mayar's own words, "I'll tell this story about me and Peter. I was giving an interview when someone asked if I'd ever fight Zubaira or Zabit Magomedsharipov since they're both in my division. I said no, not even for the belt. Then they asked about Petr Yan, hypothetically if I moved down to 135 because I've also fought at 135. I said yes, it would be an interesting fight since he's a former UFC champion. Peter and I have trained together and share a friendly relationship, but if we fight, it's purely for sporting reasons, not because we're enemies. With Zubaira, it's completely different. He's my compatriot, and our elders wouldn't approve. We can spar and share experience, but competing against him wouldn't be right." Someone chopped up my interview and sent Petr a clip where I said I wouldn't fight Zubaira but would fight him. He reacted emotionally and posted something online, telling me to achieve something first and saying things he shouldn't have. I was in Moscow at the time, so I immediately booked a ticket to fly over to him. I didn't want an internet back and forth. It's better to talk face to face. By the time I arrived, he had already deleted it. When I pressed him about it, he backed off, said he hadn't even watched the full interview, and admitted he jumped to conclusions over a highlight. UFC journalist and analyst Luke Thomas broke down the potential rematch between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira with incredible insight. Thomas admits he was initially skeptical about Ankalaev's abilities before their fight. He didn't believe the Dagestani would get it done, but the fighter proved him completely wrong. Ankalaev's performance was absolutely solid. Though he didn't secure any takedowns, he executed a balanced and calculated approach throughout the entire fight. His strategy remained consistent, and while he may have lost some rounds, particularly one, he never looked out of his depth, even when things got dangerously close. Thomas was particularly impressed with how Ankalaev dominated round 2, making it crystal clear that he was in complete control despite some nail-biting exchanges. In stark contrast, Pereira struggled desperately to land his signature strikes and couldn't get his offense flowing at all. Ankalaev, despite not being able to put him away, kept him at bay with disciplined control. Pereira's performance seemed off, his offense was minimal, and he had an incredibly hard time shaking Ankalaev's iron grip on the pace of the fight. Looking toward a potential rematch, Luke sees Ankalaev as the fighter with the clear advantage, primarily because of his remarkable ability to adapt and avoid major mistakes. He firmly believes that while Pereira certainly has the tools to challenge Ankalaev, it would take a much more dynamic, aggressive approach from Pereira to crack the Dagestani's strategy and pressure him into making errors.
I thought Ankalaev could do it before the fight, but that he wouldn't. He would just mess it up. And then he goes in because he's made a series of errors previously.
He was on the dunk team for you and Brian.
Yeah, we called him Donkalaev. I mean, we really had a whole thing going for him, you know. And then to his credit, and to, you know, and we just have to say it, we were wrong. We were wrong. He didn't mess it up. He styled on Poatan. I couldn't believe how good he was looking in the second round. Like, understand something about who Ankalaev is. I still believe at his core, if you can pressure him enough, he will make bad decisions. You look at what Poatan did, and you're like, well, he stuffed all 12 takedowns. He had a little trouble extracting his back off the fence. I do think that's something he has to work on. But the reality is he just didn't let his hands go. He only targeted the head 14%. I mean, I feel like this is at once a correctable mistake, and at the same time, man, you were like really far off here a little bit. I mean, again, I know he was close in terms of the scorecards, but in terms of delivering Poatan's trademark offense, he seemed pretty far from that.
Jon Jones's sparring sessions are always incredibly intense, but one recent session with his main sparring partner, Russian boxer Leon Grev, took a shocking turn. As they sparred ahead of what is expected to be the biggest fight of the year, a massive showdown with interim champ Tom Aspinall scheduled for summer 2025, the two accidentally clashed heads violently. At first, Grev didn't think much of it, but then he saw the blood pouring from Jones's forehead. The sight of it left him and everyone at the gym absolutely stunned. Things escalated dramatically when people rushed into the cage, and Grev started worrying they were going to turn on him. Luckily, after a tense, heart-stopping moment, things calmed down, and the session continued. While the fight with Aspinall has yet to be officially announced, it's crystal clear that the UFC is targeting a summer showdown. However, it's uncertain how this bloody incident could affect Jones's immediate plans. This injury might delay the potential fight and push it back to 2026, but only time will reveal the full impact. In Grev's own words, "Me and Jon were sparring the other day, and Americans usually don't wear headgear while sparring, but I always do. So I put mine on like usual, and we started exchanging punches." His style is super unpredictable, like he's always doing random stuff. At one point, we clashed heads. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I looked closely, and damn, he was bleeding so heavily. Like, I've never seen anything like it. It was a lot. Then all of a sudden, people started rushing into the cage, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm screwed. They're going to beat me up. But then things calmed down. Arman Tsarukyan absolutely slams Justin Gaethje's title hopes. Justin has made his intentions crystal clear following his victory at UFC 313. He desperately wants another shot at the lightweight title. UFC President Dana White even chimed in, suggesting that Gaethje has a good chance at securing that title shot. However, number 1 ranked lightweight contender Arman Tsarukyan isn't so sure Justin should be granted a title fight just yet. In a fiery recent interview, he made it absolutely clear that if Gaethje wants another crack at the belt, he'll have to go through him or former champion Charles Oliveira first. He pointedly argued that Gaethje shouldn't be handed a title fight just based on his past accomplishments, and that, in his passionate opinion, it wouldn't be fair for him to jump straight to the top without facing another top contender. The Armenian's readiness to fight anyone in the top 5 also includes Ilia Topuria, suggesting he's completely open to any challenge in his relentless quest for a title shot himself. As for Gaethje's path forward, it seems abundantly clear that Arman is ready to take on absolutely anyone in order to secure his own title shot, including the highlight himself. On the other hand, a matchup between Arman and former champ Ilia Topuria would not only be an incredibly exciting fight to watch, but would serve as a determining factor in who truly deserves to fight for the coveted title. Both fighters possess qualities that make them dangerously capable of giving Islam Makhachev a tough test, making the division even more thrilling. Would you like to see a matchup between El Matador and Tsarukyan? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.